It's a beautiful 65-degree night here on the Vegas Strip, and what better place than here to begin a brand new college basketball season as we welcome you to the 2024 Hall of Fame Series from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas as we get set to witness some of the heaviest hitters in the sport take the floor and center stage here tonight. Hi everyone, welcome to Las Vegas. I'm Spiro Ditas, joined by the Hall of Famer Grant Hill, the great Candace Parker. We'll hear from Taylor Rooks in just a couple of minutes. What better way to start than checking out the defending national champions, 38-0 last season. They authored one of the great all-time seasons in the history of the sport, Grant, and everyone's wondering, can they repeat?
I think they can. I mean, they dominated last season. Spiro, they brought back 9 of their players this year. They have great size, toughness, and athleticism, and they're trying to become the 4th college program to go back-to-back, much like USC, UConn, and Tennessee.
Candace knows a little something about that. Well, meantime, Michigan campus, this was a team last year, won more than 20 games on the season, but it's a different team now, and they've got some of the young, dynamic players that we've seen in the country this year, and they think that this is a program trending in the right direction.
Well, Coach Rico talks about how this opportunity came about with South Carolina being the first game, and her team wanted the challenge. They wanted to use this as a measuring stick of where they are, and obviously they're led by the number 8 recruiting class, the highest in the history at Michigan, by Olivia Olson and Silas Swords. And when you're led by freshmen, sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and sometimes that's great, especially on a stage right here, going against the defending national champions.
What a run it's been for Kim Barnes-Arico, all-time winningest coach in the history of the Michigan Wolverines program. Can they start the season with what would be a stunner? We'll have the tip next. Just about ready here in Las Vegas. Let's take a little peek at our starting lineups presented by Las Vegas. We just mentioned at the top Olivia Olson. We're really looking forward to seeing some of these young ladies for the Michigan Wolverines. Silas Swords, all-time highest-rated recruit in the history of Michigan. And Candace, they're going to have their work cut out for them. First couple of minutes in this game, vital anytime you're going up against the defending champs.
Well, at shoot-around, Coach Rico was talking about the things they need to do. In South Carolina, you talk about the pedigree. They offensive rebound. And so a key for Michigan is to do so by committee, because you're not going to be able to just block out one-on-one. You're going to have to do it with the entire team rebounding.
Kim Barnes-Arico talked about coaching a younger team, a lot of youth, inexperience. She says that these girls have made it fun for me. They've rejuvenated her a little bit, the staff, and they feel real good about the season that they could potentially have. But what a way to start it here against South Carolina, the defending champions, 38-0 last season. One of the all-time seasons in the history of the sport. Three-pointer that time won't go from Bree Hall, and the rebound controlled by Michigan. Cam Schrader ahead of the field to Olivia Olson. Young dynamic playmaker. We got a lot of those.
Well, essentially right now, Michigan 5-guard lineup here against South Carolina. Multiple players can shoot from the perimeter.
This is Jordan Hobbs. She's the leader of this team. Senior out of Springboro, Ohio. One of the most indispensable players on this Michigan team. Te-Hina Pow into the corner. Three-pointer won't go that time from Raven Johnson, the junior from Atlanta. And the whistle underneath against Michigan.
And to your point right there, blocking out, keeping South Carolina off the glass. Fagan down there, able to draw a defensive foul. Right there, shot going up. You called it best, Candace. They're going to be on the glass. That's what South Carolina, that's their program's all about.
South Carolina, just so many different stars, so many different ways that they can beat you. Little turnaround jumper that time from Signaya Fagan won't go. How good is that girl? Oh my goodness. Here's the drive to the rack. Holloway unable to finish. This is Hobbs, but they need her to have a big, big night if they're going to have a chance.
And Hobbs in shoot-around was extremely vocal, extremely active. She takes her role as a leader of this team serious, and getting them started and getting on the board early, seeing that shot go in, it's got to feel good.
This is Chloe Kitts. She's going to fire. And South Carolina still looking for their first points. So minute 40 now gone by. And the basketball belongs to Michigan.
And give credit, Candace, right now to the defense of Michigan. They are forcing South Carolina to shoot the ball from the perimeter, keeping the ball outside of the paint, and doing a great job by committee securing the defensive rebound.
But you talk about a South Carolina team that had 72 points in the paint in their exhibition game. So South Carolina wants to go inside. They're big, they're long, they're athletic, and, you know, Michigan's doing a great job early on with their game plan.
This is Olivia Olson. So much skill to her game as a first-year kid. The offensive rebound and the putback by Swords.
Kind of taking a page out of South Carolina's book there, getting on the offensive glass. Second chance opportunity.
Can't imagine Michigan could have hoped for a better start than this. Offensive foul. And it's a South Carolina turnover. It's on Fagan.
And right there, Swords just staying active. Pow at the guard position, unable to keep her blocked out. And right now, Michigan's showing that confidence. They don't look like a young team afraid of the moment. They are embracing this moment here early.
Inside, and Michigan just keeps on coming. They're not playing like a team that is showing any kind of intimidation, Grant, to your point. 7 straight for the Wolverines to start. Pow bumped here by Swords. Out on the perimeter, that'll be the first on Swords.
And you know what's so interesting is we sat here in this exact seat last year, and Grant, you talked about this earlier again. Defensive foul getting Pow's way, but basically Colorado came out not scared against LSU last year, and they put LSU on their heels, and the game was over pretty quickly. And so, you know, you got to think Michigan's trying to do the same.
And there's something always tricky about these early season games. First couple of nights of the year. Put back here. Kitts, they're going to count the basket.
Well, I'm mindful of last year's NCAA championship game when South Carolina played against Iowa, and Iowa got off to that fast start, got hot early, got the momentum. But the thing that favors South Carolina is their depth. I mean, they come in waves and they can just wear you out. Right now, 7:14 left, have not scored a basket. Who would have thought that?
Yeah, so no basket on that play, and underneath out of bounds for South Carolina. Initially, it looked like Hobbs was called for her second, but they give it to Camp Schrader. That'll be her first. So a big break for Michigan here. With 7:14 left to play, Kim Barnes-Arico calls for her girls to come over here with the officials trying to sort through some confusion. Yeah, so South Carolina's going to inbound underneath. Raven Johnson will be the throw-in for South Carolina. And 20 seconds on the shot clock. Fagan, top of the key. So much to her game. She's turned back inside by Olson.
And Olson with the huge rejection right here. They talked a lot about help side defense. They're not playing one-on-one. They need to utilize that help side defender right here. Olson, as a freshman, coming over, getting the two-handed block, just meeting them at the rim.
And South Carolina in disarray offensively now. Still looking for their first points, Candace. Almost 3 minutes into the game.
You know, Grant, you know a thing or two about coming off of a championship. And, you know, I think sometimes you forget how hard it is to win. And not that South Carolina's doing this. This is early in the year. But as a team, with your Dawn Staley to have this start, you have material to really motivate your team and get their attention.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I mean, they've gotten off to a slow start here, but obviously the challenge is not to be complacent or think, as you said, oh, because we're all back, we're going to get it done. It's Kitts, the nice, timely basket inside for South Carolina.
And guess what, Grant? You got firepower about to come into the game. You got Fulwiley and Joyce Edwards about to enter the ballgame. You got depth if you're South Carolina.
Swords underneath, aggressively Trying to take it to the rack there, and she's going to earn a trip to the free throw line. But this Michigan team aggressively trying to attack the South Carolina defense as Chloe Kitts takes it upon herself to get the Gamecocks their first points.
And when you have as many guards as Michigan has, as you see on that drive by Swords drawing the foul, they can spread you out. They're patient with their execution, and they're able to seize the opportunity to drive to the rim. And say these freshmen right now are unafraid for Michigan. And you think last year they're watching these Gamecocks play on national television against Iowa and Caitlin Clark, and they're in high school. And the next time the South Carolina team plays, they're on the court with them, and early on, holding their own.
Yeah, that last whistle was against Sanaya Fagan, so her second. As my Malaysia Fulwiley, anyone who's watched this program the last couple of years knows how tremendously talented that young lady is. Our first look at her here as she checks in at the 6:10 mark of the first quarter. A 6-point Michigan lead. We get the reset to Pow Pow. She's going to fire. A little bit short. Pow Pow, who led the country last year in three-point accuracy in its last touch by Michigan.
And that's what I was about to say. I don't know if it's a good idea to go under on Pow Pow shooting 50% nearly from three-point line. Michigan's got to make sure that they clean that up because they were lucky she missed.
Not going to miss too many of those. This is Kitts. Boy, beautiful drop step, and she goes glass. So Kitts with both of South Carolina's first two baskets. Joyce Edwards, the highly touted freshman, has checked into the game now. Our first look at her. One of the shiny new pieces for Dawn Staley in the South Carolina program. This is Mila Holloway, freshman out of Charlotte, showing the handle. Shot clock at 5. Holloway elevates everything but the finish.
And here's where Malaysia Fulwiley excels in basketball, is in the open court right there.
Follows her own miss, unable to put it down in tight. Holloway looking to push pace, and look at Pow Pow getting into the passing lane. And everyone's going to catch their breath. Early stages in Vegas, Michigan. Impressive start. They got a 4-point lead on the champs.
Welcome back into Las Vegas. I am Taylor Rooks, and South Carolina's repeat tour begins tonight. But as much as they want to go back-to-back, Gamecocks guard Te-Hina Pow Pow told me they are focused on not overlooking any opponents, playing hard every possession, making sure they force turnovers, and know that every single possession counts. And as for Michigan, guard Jordan Hobbs said this team is playing with no fear because that they know playing against South Carolina is like their Super Bowl, and the freshmen are going to come out firing. Coach Kim Barnes-Arico even said for these freshmen, they're putting on the jersey for the first time. How are they going to respond? And as you can see, they're coming out hot, Spiro.
Yeah, Taylor, Candace mentioned top 10 recruiting class, all the new faces. And look, if you're going to face the defending champs, you probably want to see them early in the year before they can get a rhythm and get their legs underneath them. And this has been an impressive start so far for Michigan.
Well, what's been really impressive is that these guards, the 3 guards out here for Michigan, have been able to handle the pressure. No turnovers thus far against this pressure defense from the Gamecocks.
And on the other side, Grant, you talk about, adjusting offensively as a freshman, as Hobbs with the miss, but you talk about adjusting, but on the defensive end, they're taking and making South Carolina take tough shots.
Look at Kitts. She's got it all going early in the game, and she's got all 6 for the Gamecocks. So a 2-point game as we come up on the 4-minute mark in this opening quarter. Swords turn back, and it's Kitts. Here comes Swords trying to stick with it. She whips it back and cleans up the mess.
And doesn't give up on the play right there. Great strong drive. Got blocked, but stayed with it. Certainly able to score, but really getting back on defense and getting the rebound defensively is going to be the key for Michigan. As once again, one of those fantastic drives from Fulwiley.
The fearlessness in her game has been something to watch. One of the big pieces for Dawn Staley. Hobbs' three-pointer won't go, and then the rebound is deflected out of bounds, and Michigan's going to retain possession with a full shot clock.
And you know, the biggest thing, everybody talks about getting back in transition defense. Well, the best way to slow a team down is to offensive rebound, and Michigan's doing a great job of that early on, which is keeping South Carolina out of transition.
Sword's going to inbound here to Hobbs. Michigan team that last year won 20 games. They went 500 in conference play in the Big Ten. Remember, they got off to that incredible start. They were 11-3 after their first 14 games into December. Edwards drop stepping, and we're tied.
Just a great rim run right there, getting position under the basket, and a beautiful pass by Raven Johnson.
Swords hounded on the perimeter here by Raven Johnson. Now to Cam Schrader, back to Swords for three. So maybe a couple of jitters early in the game, but Swords hasn't been bashful. And now South Carolina with a chance to take the lead, but they give it away. Olsen up the floor, and she's going to shoot free throws.
And right here, you see Raven Johnson with the dime to Joyce Edwards. We call that getting early position, right, in the post and being rewarded for it by your guard.
When you're big runs the floor, get him the ball.
Did you always get your big ball?
Yeah, I played with your colleague Shaquille O'Neal.
No, you always had to.
He used to bully us if we didn't get him the ball.
Yeah, he told me he'd get 3 seconds if he didn't throw it to me.
He said, I'm 70% lifetime from the field. That was his quote.
So Olivia Olsen, the Minnesota Miss Basketball and Gatorade Player of the Year in that state, just a legendary high school career, one of 3 current All-Americans on this roster. As they continue to build the recruiting profile of this program, guys, Tim Barnes-Arico has done 7 trips to the NCAA tournament. It just seems like year after year after year, they continue to trend upward. Good ball movement.
Zone a little bit, and the hardest thing is to rebound. They're able to track that one down out of a zone against South Carolina.
Michigan trying to get their offense recalibrated. They've missed 8 of their last 9 shots. Open look at a 3 from Cam Schrader, misses badly. And the basketball goes back to South Carolina.
But I didn't mind that right there. See, on that play, the dribble penetration got the defense to collapse and created that open three-point opportunity from Cam Schrader. She just couldn't knock that down. You're not going to be able to go one-on-one against South Carolina, but draw and kick opportunities will be there for open threes.
Edwards tripped up to the floor, and you're already kind of starting to hear whispers about the potential for this young kid, Joyce Edwards, the freshman. She's a South Carolina kid out of Camden High School, 2-time National High School Player of the Year. And how quickly can she seamlessly fit in with the defending national champs? It's a big question early in the year.
Well, what's been impressive has been her preseason. I mean, Coach Staley just raves about how she's in the gym, she's working. As you see the extra effort there. I mean, she's in the gym, she's working on her game. And Coach Staley said their depth is great, but she knows that Joyce Edwards is going to do something with her minutes day in and day out, and she proves it as she gets to the free throw line.
And that's one of the luxuries when you have so much talent. Every day in practice, you're going against great players. And so whether you're starting or coming off the bench for someone young like Joyce Edwards in this program, I mean, you're going against Fagan, you're going against, Walker, you're just going against so much talent. And what a luxury for her, but also a luxury for Dawn Staley to have such a talented young player.
Yeah, Dawn, in our conversation with her today, said, look, we had 4 or 5 kids who were WNBA eligible. She was a little concerned that maybe she'd lose a couple more pieces after their championship run last year, but was pleasantly surprised with the number of players who came back and the buy-in. Look at Swords all the way to the cup, and a chance at 3 for Michigan.
And early on, you can tell Swords, they are not scared right here, taking advantage of South Carolina, not only on the offensive rebound, but in transition before their defense is set. Swords has a little experience playing against players older than her, played in the Olympics for Canada this past summer, so you are not seeing any type of fear from her.
McDonald's All-American out of Sudbury, Ontario. Played at Long Island Lutheran, and that is a beautiful stroke. Tessa Johnson filling it up from deep. And it puts South Carolina right back in front as the action starts to pick up now at both ends. Allie Van Timmeren from Michigan, the graduate senior. First year for Van Timmeren within this program after 4 years at Boston College. He didn't play last year due to a knee injury, but a potentially big addition for this Michigan team. Here comes Hobbs now running the break, right side to Swords, filling the lane and lays it up and in.
And give a lot of credit to this Michigan team. They're playing scrappy, getting rebounds out in transition, as Candace alluded to, getting scoring opportunities before South Carolina's defense can get set.
And South Carolina not handling this zone as well as I'm sure Coach Staley want them to. Oh, there we go. 2 for 3 from 3. The last 3 possessions, I'll be quiet.
Te-Hina Pow, a sharpshooter unlike any other in the sport.
Well, what a luxury when you have Te-Hina Pow and Tessa Johnson on the perimeter. Both can dial it in, knock down shots. Pow, as we talked about, leading the country in three-point percentage. I thought last year Tessa Johnson in the tournament, in the championship game,
7
hit some
for 11
big-time threes. Yes. So you got to find shooters if you're the defense in this zone if you're Michigan.
Edwards at the elbow. Her pass intercepted by Hobbs. Hobbs ahead of the pack, and look at Edwards snatching right back. Up the floor for Fulwiley. Into the corner. Three-pointer around the rim from Johnson, and Hobbs clears. And now Michigan can hold for the final shot, 10 seconds. Holloway against Johnson on the perimeter. 3 seconds. Hobbs from deep. Splash! And that caps a highly impressive opening quarter for Michigan as they take a 3-point lead into the second.
And Michigan has shown a lot here, a lot of heart, a lot of toughness, and up 3 against the defending champions.
Three-point lead for Michigan as we are through one quarter here in Las Vegas. And the 2024 Hall of Fame Series is brought to you by Las Vegas. Whatever you go for, go all. Seconds ago, Taylor with the head coach of Michigan, Kim Barnes. Are we go?
Coach, Silas Swords playing with no fear. What do you like about her response so far?
She's been unbelievable. She's played in the Olympics this summer. She's played against grown women. She's played against professionals, and she's ready for this moment. And the stage doesn't frighten her, and she's stepped up to the challenge.
Absolutely. What do you like about what you all are doing defensively?
We're trying to be disruptive. We're trying to give them different looks. We can't keep them off the boards. They're relentless, but we're just trying to switch things up and just give them different looks.
Thank you, Coach. Back to you.
All right, Taylor, great stuff. All-time winningest coach in the history of Michigan women's basketball, and they keep on coming. It's Swords. Candace, how impressed are you with this start?
And I've got to think that Swords was a name that was mentioned in the South Carolina Gamecock huddle after the first quarter, because she is putting on a show. 12 points thus far, doing it in so many different ways.
Chloe Kitts trying to put it on the deck, fighting through the teeth of that Michigan defense. So a 5-point lead for Michigan against the defending national champions South Carolina, team in a program that went 38-0 last year, returning most of that championship team.
Talk about for South Carolina last year, Camila Cardoso, how dominant she was on the interior, defensively, offensively. Obviously hit that big time shot against Tennessee.
I wanted to bring that up. I mean, we're in the second quarter. I knew you were going to do it before.
I mean, I just, you know,
had to bring it up.
It was an iconic moment in the history of the women's tournament.
I was wondering where he was going with that.
Good pass.
Beautiful look. Inside, boy, Olsen dropping a dime. You know, it talks about how dynamic these young freshman playmakers are, and you saw a little bit of it right there from Olsen. Pow, the kick to Johnson. They get him reset into the corner, but tremendous defensive rotations by Michigan. Little backdoor cut. This is Pow. Everything contested. Edwards, the loose ball, backdoor. Raven Johnson knifing in. Offensive rebound. Kitts, boy, how good has she been in this first half?
And they cannot keep Kitts off the glass. I mean, you talk about just dominant, getting to the paint on that possession, offensive rebounding. South Carolina, 10 points and 7 rebounds for Kitts.
Good pass.
Boy, Olsen was overplayed. Just drop-stepping so smart. Some of these young players, Hobbs, tremendous look, and Michigan again able to cash in. Mid-range J from Kitts, and Michigan clears. Macy Brown gives it away. Pow, easy deuce. So Macy Brown has checked in now for Barnes-Zarico, the sophomore out of East Grand Rapids, Michigan. And Zarico goes a little bit deeper into her bench. Holloway poked away. Now South Carolina starting to ratchet up the defensive pressure. Outside to Johnson. A little bit short.
Yeah, right now Michigan has to calm things down, make sure they get a good possession here. 3 times in a row, 3 careless passes, almost a third consecutive turnover. But you talked earlier about the activity and the motor of Kitts. Kitts doing her dominance on the interior. The first bucket of the game for South Carolina on the drive. Great footwork, a la Candace Parker in her day. And then on the glass, hungry, extra effort, really bringing great interior presence offensively for the Gamecocks.
And Kitts doing a good job of calming things down for South Carolina, because it was a minute before South Carolina got on the board. It was 7-0, and she was able to come in and do the extras.
Yeah, right away, Swartz checked back into the game. Need her on the court. Her calming presence with the ball.
Swords knifing in. Boy, she takes a hard hit. Looks like it was Bree Hall underneath on a loose ball foul. But this kid Swords plays with such fearlessness to her games. I heard the interview with Barnes-Zarico and Taylor, talking about the fact that she's already played at the international level, the impact it's had on her game. Candace, she doesn't, nothing about this girl tells you that she's a freshman.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of the time, adjusting is confidence. And having the belief in yourself to go out and do what you do all the time, no matter the stage that you're doing it on.
Michigan comes up empty. Gamecocks control up the floor to Fulwiley. Into the corner, Raven Johnson rims out. South Carolina hasn't been able to get that three-point shot going. Now 2 of 12 is South Carolina from deep.
And they really haven't been able to really post up on the interior. They've been able to get offensive rebounds, but not establish themselves down on the block. Give credit to the defense of Michigan.
Olivia Olsen underneath, traveled.
And South Carolina, if you can knock down a couple threes, you're going to force Michigan, who is in a bit of foul trouble as well as being undersized, to come out of that zone.
So 6:29 left to play in this first half here in Las Vegas. Opening night of a brand new college basketball season. First of our doubleheader tonight. We'll have Ohio State and Texas on the men's side coming up later. As we are off and running in college basketball, here comes Kitts to the cup. And unable to finish. Up the floor, Holloway. Olsen trying to knife in. Here comes Swords. Left hand, that time a little bit out of control. And the basketball belongs to South Carolina. Maybe trying to do a little too much that time was the freshman.
Right there, Swords. If you notice, I mean, she's a 3-level scorer, but most of her buckets have been in the paint, attacking off the bounce, second chance opportunities. She's had a couple of offensive rebounds, but her toughness putting on the floor maybe did a little bit too much there on that play, but you don't mind her aggressiveness and her attack mode mentality.
Foul charge to Ali Van Timmering, her first. This is Edwards, the spin. Beautiful look underneath to Kitts, extending and going glass.
Did I tell you that Chloe played for my AAU program in Central Florida? Central Florida.
I think you may have mentioned that once or twice.
I mentioned that earlier.
Boy, she's got a dozen points. Has scored almost half of their points already in this first half. Holloway. Olsen able to retain. Shot clock down to 10. Back to Olsen from deep. A little bit too much offensive rebound. Van Timmeren. And they're going to get him reset. Holloway. Van Timmeren on the box. Not a good look at it, but they come up empty. Edwards sneaking inside. South Carolina retakes the lead, and Michigan wants a timeout.
South Carolina doing it all in transition, get back into this game with their freshman, Joyce Edwards.
Go cheer on your favorite college basketball squad with officially licensed fan gear. For the best selection of team apparel and accessories, head to shopncaasports.com. Lisa Leslie, all part of the star power here. A lot of stars out, a lot of Hall of Famers. Nice to see Lisa looking great. One of the all-timers.
Yes, and I got the pleasure to play with her for a couple years in LA. She was my vet. We went by the nickname Smooth and Silk, so I still call her Smooth to this day.
So you were Silk.
I was Silk. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I tell you what, I watched them play. I used to live in Phoenix.
He used to heckle us. He used to heckle
sit on
us.
the first row.
Like Grant at all.
Yeah, you know, I was a Phoenix Mercury fan. I was a season ticket holder. I had a right. I paid for my seat. They were a force indeed. Two of the best ever.
Did you really pay for those seats?
No, I didn't. But I paid by playing, and you know, I paid for it.
America's best. Underneath, boy, that interior defense. South Carolina now starting to show you what they can do at this end of the floor. It was Fulwiley who got a piece. Candace is just so much to her game. Young lady who does it at both ends of the floor for Dawn Staley.
And one thing you're going to get with South Carolina is ball pressure, and they're going to make you play a little bit out of control. Holloway being a freshman, handling the pressure pretty well so far.
Nice play.
Swords, boy, she just knows how to find those soft spots in the defense.
With her left hand on full display, or off hand, putting on a clinic.
How about Silas Swords, the McDonald's All-American in her college basketball debut against the #1 team, the defending champs. She's got 14 points in this first half already. And she's got the Michigan Wolverines up a point, but Holloway gives it right back with a careless backcourt turnover.
And that was a great inline out-of-bounds play right there that led to that Swords layup. Just superior execution there, taking advantage of those opportunities under the basket. Michigan getting it done.
Let's check in with Taylor.
You know, Silas Swords has a real maturity about her game and her ability, and she attributes it to growing up with two coaches as parents. Her dad, Sean, is currently a coach with the Long Island Nets, but because of them, she knows how to see her game from a coach's perspective, adding that her parents never really put pressure on her to perform any sort of way. They just wanted her to love the game, and she's able to lean into being sure and confident in that game, guys.
Yeah, Taylor, she's lived abroad. We mentioned the fact that she's played for the Canadian national team. She was actually born in France, where her father, Sean, played at that point. And you just put it all together. Is such an impressive young player, and what a future she's got in front of her. Fulwiley off the offensive rebound, gets it on the perimeter now to Raven Johnson, finds her spot, mid-range A, won't go. Offensive rebound and the putback by Tessa Johnson.
Tessa Johnson doing a great job, but again, Michigan's getting South Carolina to miss shots. They just can't keep them off the boards.
Camp Schrader. And that's a three-pointer for Michigan. And their lead is back to 4 with Camp Schrader getting her first points of the night.
And confidence on the offensive end. This Michigan team feels like they can score. The key is, can they get the stops and secure the rebounds like they just did on that play?
Now, Candace, it's one thing to jump out, get a lead early in the game against a team that's heavily favored, but now we're getting latter stages of the first half. Michigan is clearly showing that they feel like they belong with this team. Holloway nearly swallowed up in the backcourt. They get it to Olsen on the attack. Offensive rebound now to Swords, knifing in, and she's going to shoot free throws. And Michigan has a chance to extend to a 6-point lead.
Right there, Swords attacking the closeout there, but from the start, extra effort on the glass. Silas Swords, unafraid, and really doing most of the damage in the paint. Candace just drives, putbacks, aggressiveness on display, giving her team confidence now at the free throw line, being rewarded.
And I will say, if you're going to talk about the disadvantages of being a freshman, you got to talk about the advantages as well. It's one thing for Coach Staley and her staff to talk about the tendencies of players, but it's another thing to never have played them. And so when you're playing a freshman for the first time, you don't know the tendencies, you don't know what they like to do. And so it's going to be interesting in the second half how they adjust in their guarding of Silas Swords.
Well, we talked about it's the highest ranked recruiting class in the program's history. Now, it may not be 91 with the Fab Five, but this freshman class is showing a lot here early against the defending champions.
They could be writing their own story. Here comes Pow Pow on the attack for South Carolina. 4-point game. Te-Hina Pow Pow, young lady who wants to expand, prove that she's not just a 3-point scorer. She's got 7 first-half points for Dawn Staley. Little backdoor cut. A little bit too much on that pass from Camp Schrader, trying to get it to Swords on that baseline.
And right here, Pow Pow doing a great job getting into the teeth of the Michigan defense. They're starting out with a stereotypical zone, and as the ball shifts, they're almost in like a matchup. And so South Carolina's got to do a great job of getting the ball on each side of the floor and then attacking closeouts and not settling for threes.
Right now they're shooting 14% from the three-point line. So to your point, getting to the rim, high percentage shots are a must for South Carolina.
Adele Tack has checked in for South Carolina, the redshirt freshman out of Grand Prairie, Texas. Another top-rated recruit. Couple of chances underneath for Grabovskaya, unable to convert. Edwards, the bobble, gets it back and lays it in. 2-point game.
I'm not sure how she caught that right there. Beautiful catch in traffic, and Edwards just continues to impress.
Edwards had a couple of big performances in South Carolina's 2 exhibitions to get themselves ready. Double-double in one of them. And she's got 8 first-half points here tonight. Under a minute left in the half. Grabovskaya going left hand. Impressive.
And a nice pass by Silas Swords. She's doing a little bit of everything in this first half.
It's one thing about these first-year players for Michigan. They could all handle, they could all play make. It just adds another extra layer to this offense and how good they could potentially be this season. Raven Johnson lets it fly from the corner.
But Grant, listen, if you're South Carolina, I understand against a zone, you got to move the ball, but you got to move your body as well. And South Carolina's got to do a better job of not just shifting the ball. They've got to have cutters It's a little too stagnant against this Michigan zone.
I agree. You attack a zone by dribble penetration or with the pass. You have to pierce the zone. You can't just stay around the perimeter and settle, particularly when you're not shooting the ball well from three.
Gamecocks are 2 of 15 from 3 so far. If you've just hopped on with a shot clock down to 9. Inside of 20 seconds left in the half. Here comes Pow into the corner. This is Tessa Johnson. Rainbow 3, no. Offensive rebound inside. The putback by Tack. They get it back 5 seconds. Johnson. That'll get South Carolina a little bit closer as we reach halftime here in Las Vegas. South Carolina, the defending champions, led for only 32 seconds in that first half. As we check in with Taylor.
Coach, what issues are Siler Swords and Michigan causing for your defense?
Oh, she's just attacking. She's attacking. When we cut her off, they're spinning. They got 2-move game. They're relentless. So we gotta change our approach and come back out and hopefully take care of business.
Big shot to end the half. How can you all continue to create better shots and get into a rhythm?
Yeah, I like that type of rhythm shot. I don't want to pass it around the horn and then take a standstill 3. Once we get penetration and we hit the paint and we kick out, it creates great rhythm for those shots to go in.
Thank you. Spiro?
All right, Taylor, Dawn Staley and the defending champs getting everything they can handle so far. 20 minutes complete. The Michigan Wolverines have come to Las Vegas trying to pull a stunner. They're up 1 at halftime on TNT. Nightfall in Las Vegas, where we are tipping off a brand new college basketball season. And surprise, surprise, look at Candace chopping it up with some of her ex-teammates. Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, Alicia Clark, just holding court like the old days.
Man, the good old days with the aces. Fun times.
They have been watching this game and surprised with the rest of us. The Michigan Wolverines against a South Carolina team beginning their title defense season. Candace, how surprised are you with what we're seeing from this young Michigan squad?
Well, we talked about it at the beginning of the game. Sometimes as a freshman, you don't know what you don't know. And these freshmen seem like they do not know that they're playing against the defending national champion. They're just going out and just playing, hooping, especially Siler Sword. Holloway doing a great job of handling the pressure overall. Olsen finding her spots. I mean, Michigan, number 8 recruiting class in the country. But boy, they are holding their own against South Carolina in this first half.
Yeah, I've just been impressed with their mentality. Unafraid, they've come out, they're competing, they're fighting on both ends of the floor, not conceding anything. Now the key is, can they do it for 2 halves? Because you know South Carolina has made some adjustments at halftime.
Taylor Rooks working the sidelines for us. Taylor, you spoke to Dawn Staley coming out of the halftime locker room. What did she tell you?
I did, and Grant is right. They are going to make some adjustments. Dawn said she told her team not to help so much because when they overhelp, Michigan is getting ahead of the possession and then just driving it down their throat. She said offensively, they need to double up their paint points because that's where they're best. Offensive rebound, be strong with the ball. She closed by saying, we have been in this position. This team will respond, guys.
Yeah, they were such a resilient team last year in some of the tightly contested games that they had to play. As Michigan turns it over, but Dawn Staley's team in the first half, guys, they shoot just 33% from the field. They were 3 of 17 from downtown.
And regardless of what happens from this point forward, I think this is great for South Carolina. Early on to be tested against a team that's not ranked just sends a message. You have to come and play and obviously respect every opponent, particularly when you're a champion.
Hits into the corner, gets it to Pow, where she won't miss too many of those open threes. Here comes Olsen on the attack, knocked away by Raven Johnson. Clean strip, here comes Kitts running the break. Good ball movement, but again, that rotating defense for Michigan. Look at Pow. Kitts had it, Holloway out of the fray. Holloway doesn't have the numbers, so she wisely resets, and this will be a kick off the foot of Bree Hall. And some of that interior transition defense.
And that's your point guard right there, making a spectacular block without fouling. I love the aggressiveness by Olsen, but great defense there by Johnson.
Well, that's the thing. You're Olivia Olsen. You could do that in high school against most point guards.
Right.
But against South Carolina and their length, you're not going to be able to get that done.
A lot of contact.
And this is going to be last touch by Hobbs. Trying to force the issue. The senior, only returnee who had any starting experience for Kim Barnes-Arico last year. And
might have got away with one, Fagan.
A foul to me.
So a couple of minutes gone by in the second half.
Making that adjustment here to a zone. You got to have awareness of shooters, and as Candace said, you got to block out.
Under control maneuvering that time by Bree Hall, the senior out of Dayton, Ohio, where she had some big scoring games last year for Dawn Staley, and she's put the Gamecocks back in front. Here comes Holloway, knifing in. They get it out to Swords. Finds the laces off to the right, and they come up empty. Johnson finds her spot. Kitts is there.
Kitts feasting on the glass, picking up where she started off early in the first half, getting on the offensive rebounds. And right now, she's 14 points, 10 rebounds. Big time lift on the interior for South Carolina.
Double-double for Kitts. Couple of minutes into the second half. My goodness. Mila Holloway turns the corner, taking. Johnson couldn't finish. Look at Swords. And she's going to earn another trip to the free throw line at the 7:14 mark. It's on Pow Pow.
And you talk about right here, beating a zone with the pass, but also beating a zone with dribble penetration. You draw two, you pass, and then you attack a closeout. And you can tell that that's been what Dawn Staley has probably emphasized at halftime.
Well, in the first half, they were just passing around the perimeter and settling for shots. Right there, attack mode, and it worked, as you said.
Guys, we had a good time hanging out with Dawn Staley. You both have known her for a long time. It's just been fun to watch her evolve as a person, as a coach. It's been something else. What a career she's built. 17 years now down in Columbia.
Well, one of the great coaches in the game, but also one of the great players. And I've known Dawn for 30 years, was painfully shy while she played. Nice raw dribble drive and knocked down three by Bree Hall, but Dawn has become an important voice, not just in women's basketball, but in all of sports. And she has evolved into something special in Columbia, South Carolina, that's for sure.
This is South Carolina's biggest lead of the night, and that is Hobbs answering for Michigan.
And, you know, Michigan's done a great job of keeping this South Carolina crowd out, because you see a lot of Gamecock fans. It's almost like a home building. They're just waiting for South Carolina to go on a run, and Michigan has answered every single one.
Yeah, this fan base always travels well as Pow Pow just keeps on coming for the Gamecocks. She's got 9.
And she has had a lot of drives here tonight, not settling. As you talked about, wanting to show she's more than just a shooter.
Some careless ball handling between the freshmen. Holloway trying to get it to Olsen. Kitts inside, and she's headed to the free throw line.
And you can feel the energy shift here in this second half. South Carolina has turned the screws. Great dribble drive, finding your teammate there. Bree Hall knocking down the three. And then a little pick and pop action on the other end. Hobbs returns the favor. And just a nice little ball fake. Freezes the defense, able to draw the foul. The passion and the emotion here. Feels like we're in Columbia after this three-point play opportunity from Chloe Kitts.
And, you know, the biggest difference between South Carolina in this second half is that their outside shots they are taking are coming when the ball has touched the paint. And that's something that didn't occur in that first half. It was being passed around the perimeter. On that play, Pow Pow got to the paint, drew 2, and then was able to get her teammate a nice open look.
And that's an easier shot to make, right?
It's coming from inside, yeah. So is that one.
Hobbs misses badly as they look for some early offense. So Michigan now a little bit of a danger zone. They're down 6. They've started the second half, guys, 1 for 6 from the field.
And they've also, South Carolina has sped them up on offense. They got them playing in a frenzy. Michigan has to slow down and be methodical with their execution.
South Carolina has hit their last 4 shots. They turn it over here with Adele Tack earning herself some early second half minutes. Kitt's unable to get it to her as they try to go with that high-low action.
And if you're Michigan, you got to pick your spots when you're going to run, because you're not going to run with South Carolina. And they did a great job of keeping them out of transition and picking their spots of when they wanted to run and play in secondary.
Here's Hobbs, boy, going left hand. And then the offensive rebound by Grabovskaya underneath. Looks like Jordan Hobbs, guys, may have a little bit of blood on her right hand. The officials haven't recognized, but it has been physical underneath. Te-Hina Pow is whistled for her second personal. Joyce Edwards, Tessa Johnson back in for Dawn Staley, and Grabovskaya to the free throw line for 2.
And give credit to Michigan. We talk so much about South Carolina and their ability to dominate on the offensive glass, which they've done. They have 15 offensive rebounds. But Michigan's right there. They have 13 offensive rebounds themselves. On that last play, able to anticipate the miss there and draw the foul.
Yulia Grabovskaya, first year in this Michigan program after 1 year at Middle Tennessee. And so Michigan leaving some points on the board. It's a 6-point game as we come up on the midway point of this third quarter. Raven Johnson skips it near side. Hall. Tack. Towering above and unable to hit, but she's going to step to the free throw line. Whistle on Grabovskaya. That'll be her first. And Adele Tack, the redshirt freshman out of Grand Prairie, Texas, to the free throw line for 2.
And that's the danger of South Carolina. You got to worry about the penetration. You got to worry about the three-point shot. And then you got to block out and keep their bigs off the glass.
You got to do a lot of things, it sounds like. But they have 7 players at least 6'2", and 2 of them are 6'5". One of those 2 is Tack.
Well, this has been a traditionally strong rebounding team, top 3 rebounding team in the country with South Carolina last year. And they have picked up right where they left off. Hobbs finds the laces, and she buries a 3. Big shot for Michigan.
And Hobbs has done a great job of every single time South Carolina looks like they're going to pull away, she has an answer.
Tessa Johnson. 5-point game. Johnson into double figures with 10. So we are past the midway point of this third quarter. South Carolina beginning their title defense season, holding a 5-point lead against a Michigan team that won 20 games last season. Olsen hounded by Tack. Boy, she got it off cleanly, but could not finish. Johnson trying to create that space. This will be against Hobbs. But a half step too late getting there, and South Carolina will retain possession up 5. Hobbs trying to keep her Wolverines in close.
And welcome back to Vegas. That last offensive possession might have been the best one for Michigan in this half. Great ball movement as Hobbs gets a screen, fakes the pin down, and then right here, freeze it. Grabovskaya sets the screen, a beautiful delivery, and Hobbs gets those puppies organized, able to knock down that three-pointer. And what's happened is South Carolina has sped them up. But when Michigan can slow down, execute their offense, they can get good scoring opportunities on the offensive end.
I saw what you did there.
That was amazing work.
The telestration.
It's almost like you're going to be a coach after this year.
You know, it's kind of a hybrid of Mike Fratello, Bill Raftery with the puppies. You know, you caught that, Spiro, right?
That was very impressive.
Did I throw a boom in there, too?
Sure.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah.
We prefer sound effects. Just enhances the telestration.
I was thinking of Madden, but, you know, it's not the right sport.
So 3:56 left to play in the quarter. It's a 5-point South Carolina lead. Every time you think the Gamecocks are going to pull away, they have answered Three-pointer that time by Miriam Dowda. First look at her tonight as Dawn Staley goes a little bit deeper into her bench. Can Michigan get their offense now, guys, recalibrated? It's been a ragged quarter for them shooting.
And if you're Michigan, the ball's got to be in your freshman's hands. Right here, couldn't get that to go Holloway, but a good look at the rim. I also would like to see Sila get some looks here. Sila Swords having 16 points in the first half and only 2 thus far in this second half.
Doesn't appear like she's getting a lot of touches on the offensive end, to your point.
Well, clearly you were waiting to see what kind of defensive adjustments Dawn Staley made with her defense at halftime. Kitts turned back. It was Grabovskaya who got a piece. Well, it's a tough play here. Grabovskaya able to get to it. Underneath, Olsen ducking in, and she is turned back by Dowda. So that interior defense from South Carolina is so impressive. Tessa Johnson puts it on the deck. And now they're going to reset. And a whistle blown here underneath. Holloway and Raven Johnson got tangled up. And Holloway is whistled for her second. Grabovskaya will sit, Swords will sit.
Wait a minute, they only have 4 on the floor.
A little bit of miscommunication there. Now Kim Barnes-Arico gets Greta Kamschrader to check into the game. And Olivia Olsen is going to sit. Nope, Holloway's going to sit. Now we got it straight.
Musical chairs there.
So 2:34 left in the quarter.
In that first half when Swords and Holloway sat, that's when South Carolina went on a little bit of a run. And this lineup in Michigan stay attached here in this third.
Tessa Johnson, Kamschrader got a piece. Loose ball, Hall, top of the key. Kamschrader clears. Three-pointer from Hobbs, rims out, and it's controlled by South Carolina. Michigan from 3 tonight is 5 for 16. And their overall shooting in this quarter now 2 for 12. Out of corner 3. Raven Johnson snatched it back, and then it's Kitts. No basket. It's going to be an offensive foul, a push. And the basketball back to Michigan. It's on Chloe Kitts, her second.
And that was the right call right there. First of all, Johnson, great offensive rebound, could not convert. You see that left arm, Kitts using that as leverage. Dawn Staley not pleased. I'd like to see South Carolina, though, go back into the post. The last 3 or 4 possessions have not really had post touches, which obviously is playing to their strength when they do.
Told you what's coming up in the nightcap. Buckeyes and number 19, Texas. As we move over to the men's side in our nightcap. Corner 3, Tessa Johnson. And just like that, it's an 8-point lead for the champs. Well, Michigan has answered the bell so many times tonight, but it's a young team. We've talked about the inexperience. How do they handle some early adversity? Look at Hobbs, keeps on coming from Michigan.
And Hobbs again and again answers South Carolina run. That's what you need from your senior and her experience.
Underneath for Wiley, trying to force the issue. The officials say jump ball. And the possession arrow is going to give it back to Michigan. For that last Wolverines basket was their first in 3.5 minutes.
And that three-pointer right there, once again, Candace, dribble penetration leading to that open three-pointer by Tessa Johnson, who obviously is not afraid of taking big-time shots. But that's the difference from first half to second half, three-pointers off the penetration.
Well, Grant, we call those practice shots. And they're coming from inside the arc as Hobbs knocks down another practice shot for Michigan. That's how you rebound. You rebound, you outlet out. That's how you get up shots. And so it's a natural motion to not have to change your shot to catch the ball and get into your shooting motion.
Back-to-back threes by Jordan Hobbs. Kitts unable to answer, so an 8-point lead suddenly down to 3 already. And once again, Michigan is able to respond. Final 5 seconds of the quarter. Cam Schrader looking for some daylight. Boy, she just got swallowed up by Edwards. And that's going to get us to the end of the third quarter. But back-to-back threes by Hobbs, and it's down to 3 as we head to the fourth.
Right here, you got your freshman Joyce Edwards knocking down the block shot. Kitts has kept South Carolina in this. Michigan only down by 3. Can they shock the world in this fourth quarter?
And the 2024 Hall of Fame Series is brought to you by Las Vegas. Whatever you go for, go all. Nightfall on the Strip on a beautiful 60-degree night. And we got a good one here. The heavyweight South Carolina Gamecocks getting everything they can handle from Kim Barnes-Arico and her Michigan Wolverines. Arico, who has taken this Michigan program, guys, to new heights. What a run it's been for her. 13 years in Ann Arbor. Of course, that magical run in 2022 all the way to the Elite Eight, furthest that this program has ever gotten. And boy, can they pull off what would be a stunner here on the opening night of the season.
Well, she's showing why she's a 2-time Big Ten Coach of the Year. And has this young team right now down 3. I mean, they weathered that storm from South Carolina. Threw a lot of haymakers there in that third quarter. Now rested with their leaders, Fords and Holloway, and only down 3 here as we start this fourth quarter.
South Carolina working underneath. Sanaya Fagan showing just how polished she is with her low post game. It's on Van Timmeren, and that's going to be her second person. Candace, if you're Kim Barnes-Arico, what are you stressing to your players here over these last 10 minutes?
Well, if you're Coach Arico, you're telling your players that you've done a great job of steadying the ship anytime South Carolina wants to gain separation. And they've done that by controlling the glass, by not turning the ball over, and by getting the looks that they want to on the offensive end. South Carolina, you want them to play in the half court. You don't want them to get into an up and down game. And Michigan's done a great job of doing that thus far.
Can they keep this thing up?
I think if you're Don Staley, you want to be disciplined on defense, stay attached to shooters, and then get the ball inside to your post players on the offensive end. Inside out for the fourth quarter for South Carolina.
Boy, Fulwiley got a piece of that Hobbs 3. Hobbs hit those 2 threes to close the third quarter to get Michigan back to within striking distance. 5-point game, a minute gone by in the fourth. This is Tessa Johnson, misses badly. Boy, Fagan really stressing the interior of that Michigan front line underneath as she crashes the offensive glass. Underneath out of bounds, shot clock to 20. Pau gets him reset. Into the corner, Tessa Johnson, the spin, cash money.
And Grant, we call that a bump fade. Johnson doing a great job of utilizing her shoulders and getting her space to get to her spots.
Former high school player of the year in the state of Minnesota. What a couple of years it's been for her. Hobbs, a little bit too much on the attack. Offensive rebound, then Timmeren, then underneath. Unable to put that one down, but it will stay here, according to the officials. Olsen and Holloway are going to check back in for Michigan.
And right here, you see Tessa Johnson just putting the ball on the floor. Obviously, you got to close out because she's hit threes and she can knock down threes. So what does she do? She counters that and is able to still get to her spot.
And that's next level right there.
Boy, errant pass on the inbounds. A little bit of miscommunication between Holloway and Hobbs. And every turnover at this point of the game magnified now for Kim Barnes-Arico and Michigan.
It's an important time right now. South Carolina on a 5-0 run to start this fourth quarter. It's important Michigan get a stop and obviously be solid with their execution on the offensive end.
If you've just joined us, Michigan led for most of the first half, all but 32 seconds, in fact. But look at that drive and finish. Fulwiley showing her offensive arsenal. Biggest lead of the night now for South Carolina. Fulwiley showing the handle. They get the double team and Swords with the theft. Big trip here for Michigan. Hobbs from deep. Offensive rebound, Swords on a putback, no. And they come up empty again. Here comes Fulwiley, full head of steam. Hobbs got a piece of it. And now they say last touch by Michigan.
And on that last drive, Fulwiley gets to the paint. But look at Fagan right there, setting that screen, creating an alleyway. And Fulwiley, when she gets downhill, gets to the rim with ease.
He's getting a little carried away with the illustration.
We gave him an opportunity to drop one thing on the screen, and now he's doing it on every play. What in the world?
Hey, man, practice makes perfect.
Deep corner two by Pow, a little bit short. Olsen, Holloway, boy, they missed a couple of bunnies in tight. Swords, missed it. Holloway weak side, underneath, and it's Swords. 7-point game with 7:16 left.
I think Joyce Edwards might have got that off the glass.
I think you might be right. What a drop.
Silas Swords in her college basketball debut has 20 against the defending champs.
Give it to her. There you go.
Little give and go action back to Tessa Johnson. A little bit off target, and it's poked away. Olsen, Johnson, bodies diving all over the place. Boy, you just love the passion on this opening night. Michigan trying to pull the upset. South Carolina trying to begin their title defense season with a win as Olsen picks up the foul.
You see both players on either side diving on the ground. You know they understand fourth quarter, every possession means something. Tough break for Michigan, but great extra effort there by South Carolina and Tessa Johnson.
Michigan Wolverines, only the second time in the history of their program that they are facing the #1 team in the country. Edwards misses on a little turnaround baby hook shot. Olsen, guarded by Raven Johnson.
Smitty.
On the attack, Cam Schrader resets. Still plenty of time to shoot. Holloway gets the high screen, and this is an illegal pick. It's on Grabovskaya. Boy, way out behind the three-point line.
I thought that was a nickel dimer right there. I mean, the game has been physical.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I think she's facing the other way.
Yeah.
She gets away with it.
Dawn Staley's going to try to get him reset. 7-point game as we come down the home stretch on TNT. The match returns this fall with another star-studded cast. Watch celebrities like Mark Wahlberg, Charles Barkley, Bill Murray, and more tee it up in the match Superstars, November the 21st and 22nd on TNT and Max.
I'm shocked that Charles didn't have me and Vince Carter, part of the TNT family.
You seemed a little upset when you saw that.
I was a little disappointed, but I figured it gives Charles a chance to actually win.
Your golf games like that?
I mean, against Charles, yes. Very much like that.
I have heard Kansas. He's pretty good.
I'm working on it, Grant. I'm working on it. I'll be there. Give me a year.
Okay.
Give me a year, and I'm going to be out there with you.
South Carolina possession as they try to build on a 7-point lead here. We come up on the 6-minute mark of the fourth quarter. This is Edwards, and the officials say traveling violation.
And as a coach with a younger team, I would say, Dawn Staley draws up something out of a timeout. They run it, probably get a good look.
Well, they went to the freshman, and she just walked there on that play, but a nice set out of the timeout.
Olsen, boy, that's a tough shot. Olsen has struggled a little bit with some of the physicality. She's 2 of 11 now from the field. She makes her debut here tonight in Las Vegas. Pau resetting into the corner now to Edwards. Against Grabovskaya, no basket. Contact came before the shot. And it will be an underneath out of bounds for the Gamecocks.
And I like that. I mean, Edwards, she's young, but she's stronger and she's quicker and able to just off the bounce draw the foul. I like her aggressiveness. Who's for South Carolina is going to make plays here down the stretch on the offensive end.
Good swing action from South Carolina. Hits mid-range J. Back rim. Edwards underneath. But they're just so relentless on the glass. Raven Johnson, too much. Grabovskaya finally tracks it down for Michigan.
Nice drive.
Hobbs curling. She's going to get to the free throw line and will have a chance to cut it to 5 here with 4:59 left. Fourth quarter on TNT. Jordan Hobbs, the leader, the senior out of Springboro, Ohio, trying to single-handedly keep her Michigan Wolverines in close as we come down the stretch.
Yeah, you talk about senior. She's countered every South Carolina run by herself. She's doing a little bit of everything. She's shooting 5 for 12 from beyond the arc. Quick release, high release, fast release. She's getting open off of her teammates' threes. She's at the free throw line now. I mean, 17 points, 6 rebounds. You look down the stat sheet, Silas Swords, 20 points. So those two have really kept the Wolverines in this game.
South Carolina at the other end has missed 7 straight shots. They haven't scored more than 3 minutes. So the door ajar a little bit here for Michigan. 2 free throws from Hobbs. And you look up, it's a 5-point game with just under 5 minutes left to play in regulation. And Jordan Hobbs now has hit 13 of Michigan's last 15 points. This is Pau working against 2 defenders. And let's see who the officials get here. It'll be 2 shots for Te-Hina Pau.
Fancy dribbling there by Pau. Able to get downhill, get to the free throw line, and much needed scoring opportunity as Pau misses. And Pau last season, 84% from the free throw line, uncharacteristic of her.
What a career it's been for her. Senior, last year second-team All-American for Dawn Staley. Out of Oceanside, California. She began her collegiate career at Oregon. And now getting ready for year 2 in Columbia. Hobbs dribbled it off of her foot. Swords trying to corral it. And the call here, a kick against South Carolina.
And what's interesting, Coach Rico is doing a great job of countering the pressure on her freshman point guard in Holloway. They've put Hobbs basically at the head of the offense and having her kind of run point guard and initiate the offense.
She's got a big guarding her, so you're right. Kind of a point power forward.
Hobbs slinging it. Not that time, and the rebound by Kitts underneath.
Well, that's the look, if you're Michigan, that you want.
Well, that would have cut it to a 2-point game as we come up on the 4-minute mark left. Pau thought about it underneath. Boy, dropping a dime. No basket. They get Pau after she released the pass. So they wipe away the layup, and Pau picks up her 3rd personal.
And once again, Hobbs, she's had her fingerprints all over this second half, stepping up, taking the charge. I'll tell you, it's a 5-point game. I mean, the South Carolina team last year, their average scoring margin was 29 points. First game of the season, and a close one here late in this 4th.
Boy, this is the ultimate test for a young Michigan team. Swords, and that's going to be a traveling violation.
And Grant, to your point, I mean, South Carolina, 60 points. They scored 146 in their exhibition game. Now, I know it's an exhibition game, But the point is, they do get up and down, and they get shots up, and they score in the paint. And they have just not had success this evening doing that as a result of Michigan keeping them out of the paint and forcing them into tough threes.
Did you say 146?
146 points.
In a 40-minute game. Wow.
For the call here against South Carolina again, another Gamecocks turnover. The officials get Kitts, her second personal. A legal pick.
Yeah, moving her feet there and extending her right arm on that screen attempt by Kitts. The right call.
Michigan trying to solve the South Carolina defense. Hobbs, Swords is there, and she is going to shoot free throws. It's on Tessa Johnson. But every dribble, guys, every pass, every shot contested by South Carolina. Remember, this was the #1 field goal percentage defense in the country last year for Dawn Staley. Is Michigan trying to find just any kind of openings and a crack in this defense? Silas Swords, again, the McDonald's All-American out of Sudbury, Ontario, out of Long Island Lutheran High School. Highest rated recruit in the history of this Michigan program. 4-point game. Tessa Johnson underneath, no. Bodies all over the place. It's Swords out of the mix. It's a 2-possession game as we cross the 3-minute mark. Michigan, meantime, guys, has not hit a basket in almost 5 minutes, and they're still only round 4. Hobbs from deep, missed it.
And they've run that play twice before. She knocked down the 3. Could not convert on that play. I'll tell you, South Carolina leaving the door open. They're having trouble scoring here on the offensive end. Stuck on 60 for the last few minutes.
Both teams' offense has gone stone cold. South Carolina has missed 8 straight shots. This is Bree Hall trying to get out of the corner. 7 to shoot. Grabowskaia comes out to help. Hall launches and hits. Massive shot for the Gamecocks.
Much needed bucket. Hall able to settle down the offense a little bit.
First South Carolina points in 5:50. Here comes Swords trying to push. Officials say jump. Possession arrow favors Michigan.
And one of the adjustments that South Carolina made was guarding Swords in her drives. First half, she was making those moves off the bounce, getting to the rim. She has struggled here, turned over a little bit a few times on her drives, but just great hands and defense there by Tessa Johnson, forcing that jump ball. Maybe Swords has to pull up for that mid-range.
Well, this game hasn't been pretty, but it has been gritty, hard fought. Both teams shooting sub 34%. Michigan turning to Holloway. And the Wolverines come up empty again. It's a 6-point game. South Carolina looking for a knockout blow right here.
Don wants to use some clock right here. Understanding the clock is on their side. Of course, in Michigan, you got to get a stop and, of course, secure by getting a rebound.
Here comes the star freshman Edwards. Missed it. Swords ahead of the field to Hobbs.
Right here, if you're Michigan, you got to get a quick 2 or you got to get a 3. And now if you're South Carolina, you got to take up as much time. I think Michigan has to foul.
I think Olsen was a little off balance on that drive attempt.
And we've seen that from her a little bit. A lot of off-balance shots. Just hasn't been able to deal with the physicality of this South Carolina defense.
And the length. The length. Because at times, especially in high school, you can do those long steps and get to the rim through space. In college, it's about initiating contact and going through the chest so that the shot blocker doesn't have a chance to get at your shot.
So the game coming up, game 2 of our doubleheader here in Las Vegas tonight. As we switch over to the men's side, and we got a treat. One of the top teams in the country, Texas, number 19 to begin the season, as they will take on Jake Diebler and the Ohio State Buckeyes. And we will have it for you coming up right here on TNT. Timeout taken by Michigan. Do they have one last push? 56.7 down 8 on TNT. Action-packed first day of the college basketball season. Games all over the place. And we got a good doubleheader for you here in Las Vegas, Michigan and South Carolina. Top 10 women's rankings in the AP poll. Which of these programs can challenge Dawn Staley's bunch? That is the question as we begin the new season.
Well, listen, you got USC opening up in Petty against Ole Miss. Shocked a few people. It was a little close, only a 2-point game. Ole Miss showed some grit down the stretch.
Olsen may have gotten away with one there. Hobbs lets it fly on the 3. Michigan gets it to Swords. That's a 3, and she hits. It's a 5-point game with 41.6 left. Silas Swords with 24 points on the night. There's your game reset. 41.6 left. Michigan, 1 timeout left in a 5-point game.
Yeah, if you're Michigan, I think you go for a quick steal. I think you tell the refs that we're trying to go for the steal first, and then you got to foul and hope that South Carolina will miss at the free throw line.
And I think you maybe try to get the ball in Raven Johnson's hands. She's 61% from the free throw line last year. She's taking the ball out of bounds. That would be the person to foul if you're Michigan.
It will be Raven Johnson, the inbounder. Gets it back from Kitts, and so they're going to go immediately for the foul.
It's like you're just brilliant, Grant. That Duke education.
It's the beautiful basketball mind.
And academics.
I opted out of quantitative reasoning in school, but I do know a thing or two about basketball.
Candace, don't encourage me, please. First free throw is no good with Raven Johnson now at the free throw line. Johnson, the junior out of Atlanta, second-team All-SEC last season. What a career it's been, but she comes up empty. Hobbs saves, and Michigan's going to take its final timeout. And that door, ever so slightly, still open.
And if you're Coach Rico, I think the ball has got to be in the hands of Hobbs or Swords. You got to get a 3, I think, on this possession. If not, it's the quickest 2. But I think you put the ball in those 2 hands, whether it's off of a catch and shoot, whether it's off a drive and kick, off a pin down. They've had success with that today.
Michigan, by the way, does have 1 timeout left. Grant, what are we looking for?
Yeah, I agree with Candace. I mean, first of all, Coach Rico has run some nice sets. I think you try to maybe get an open 3 in the hands of Swords or a Hobbs, as you said, and if not, if the 3 is not there, a quick drive, get to the rim, and everybody crash the glass. And then once again, when you score, make sure the ball gets in Johnson's hands and foul her again.
And South Carolina has to make Michigan take some time off the clock here. They can't let them advance the ball quick. Time is on Michigan's side if Michigan can get a quick look.
A South Carolina team that went 38-0 last year. They became the 10th program in the history of the sport to go undefeated and win a national championship. It's basically the same team that has come back.
That's too much time.
Swords fires, buries it.
Goodness.
Silas Swords in her basketball debut is putting on a show here in Vegas.
Back-to-back 3s.
Swords step back on that. Nice play drawn out by Rico. Coach Rico right here. Step back on Kitts.
Oh, Canada.
Knock down.
27 points for Swords as she has breathed life into Michigan. A 2-point game with 22 seconds left.
Well, I read that she was a transformative player for Michigan, 3-level score, and certainly you show me that she has ice water in her veins. Just when you thought South Carolina kind of had the game under control, 2 big-time 3-pointers. Swords getting it done. Struggled with the drives here in the second half, but just hit some big-time shots. That was the first 3, and then this last one, as you said, step back 3-pointer. Wow. What moxie.
So now Michigan looking for a stop. They get it to Kitts, and the quick foul there with Cam Schrader whistled for Michigan. That'll be her fourth. And 2 free throws here, but South Carolina has not been able to capitalize on these free throws down the stretch.
And Coach Staley was angry about something in that drawn up timeout. Get the ball in.
Dawn Staley, who has led this program to 2 national titles over the last 3 years. 3 overall, 6 Final Fours in what has been just an unbelievable 17-year run in Columbia. 4-point game. Boy, where would the Gamecocks be tonight without Chloe Kitts? What a night she has put together. The Gamecocks up 4 with 21.1 left on TNT. South Carolina fans always travel well and well representing this program here in Las Vegas tonight. But I don't think there were many people around the country who expected this thing to be this tight, guys, late in the game. Give Michigan and Kim Barnes-Arico and her staff all kinds of credit as they play down 4 here with 21 seconds left.
Well, that's why you play the game, right? That's why you lace up your shoes, is because when you go out to compete, and Michigan came out this morning, had a great shoot-around, were confident, and they were led by their senior Hobbs in shoot-around that got them ready for this game. And if you're South Carolina right now, there's a lot of time on the clock. So you don't want Michigan to score quickly, and you have to go back to the free throw line.
And you got to rebound. I mean, Michigan has had 20 offensive rebounds in this game. So you got to secure the defensive possession by getting the rebound if you're South Carolina.
One thing to keep in mind here, Michigan is out of timeouts. So they want to work quickly here. This is Swords. He's going to fire. Raven Johnson got a piece of it. Boy, that intense South Carolina defense. Foul charge to Olivia Olsen, her second.
Right away, you see Raven Johnson taking the challenge. A little risky there, reaching in.
They got a little bit of that right arm
on the shot attempt. Dawn Staley trusts Johnson. Johnson had the task last year guarding Caitlin Clark in the NCAA finals. Had a couple steals on Caitlin Clark, and certainly putting her on Swords there paid off on that possession.
So Joyce Edwards goes 1 of 2 at the line. It's a 5-point game, 15 seconds. Off the floor comes Holloway. Hobbs deep 3, misses. Loose. And last touch by Michigan. And it looks like the Wolverines have run out of clock here in Vegas. 6.2 seconds. Officials are going to review to determine who touched it last.
To me, it looked like it was off of Michigan there. I don't think anyone on South Carolina's team touched it, although I've been wrong before. But no, yeah, the foot there. Cam Schrader looked like she touched it last.
Guys, give me your observations on South Carolina. Obviously, first night of a new season. The expectations for this team are so incredibly high. What did you see tonight? Where does this team go from here?
And I don't think one game changes that. I think that's why it is hard to repeat, is because you go from being the hunter to be hunted. And your game is circled on everybody's calendar. And so I think a game like today, where you're able to squeak it out, you're able to learn. You got Joyce Edwards getting great minutes. You got Chloe Kitts that played well. Dawn Staley has her team's attention now, and she'll be able to use this as a teaching point in film.
Final couple of seconds come off the clock. Looks like they're going to put Joyce Edwards back on the free throw line here with under a second left. And South Carolina holding this 5-point lead.
I think you're absolutely correct. I think Dawn Staley now will use this as a teaching tool for her team. Let them know that there's an X on your back, and there's a responsibility every time you step on the court as a national champion. And so just kind of can refocus this group, let them know that it's not going to be easy. They got a tough schedule this year. 12 games against top 25 teams, 8 of those matchups against top 10 opponents. So use this as an opportunity to get better if you're Dawn Staley and the Gamecocks.
Final second, and it is over. The South Carolina Gamecocks begin their title defense season with a hard-fought victory here in Las Vegas over the Michigan Wolverines, 68-62. Your final score. As they got everything they could handle here tonight from Michigan. Jordan Hobbs was terrific for the Wolverines, 19 points. Silas Swords, what a future that kid's got in front of her. 27 points in her collegiate basketball debut. Not to mention 12 rebounds for the young freshman, but just too much of South Carolina canvas, especially their defense down the stretch.
Yeah, South Carolina has shown why they have the depth to continue to try to defend that national title. I mean, you talk about 13 deep of players coming in and playing different roles. You talk about Tessa Johnson, talk about Joyce Edwards. Being able to have that luxury of, if the starting lineup isn't playing great, to be able to have players come off the bench and make an impact for the Gamecocks.
Taylor Rooks standing by with some of the happy faces and the winners here in Vegas.
Thanks so much, Spiro. Don, you told me that this team was going to respond. That response ultimately led to a win. How did you close this one out?
I mean, grim and bare. That was a really good Michigan team. They played really well together. They know what they want. They got what they wanted for most of the night. I think we've been in situations like this where, you know, we don't fret it. We just got to make plays. And when you can rely on experience to make plays, we made plays, and we're fortunate tonight.
Chloe, huge double-double for you. You were out there vocal with your teammates. What allowed you to get into a rhythm?
You know, they kept encouraging me. They kept feeding me the ball, kept telling me to be aggressive and keep doing what I'm doing. So them just encouraging me just takes it to a whole nother level.
Wasn't a great shooting night for you all, but it was full of grit, full of heart. How did aggressiveness and intensity lead to this win?
Well, we play in the SEC. I mean, we're aggressive, we're physical, we're going to hit some shots. People going to run schemes to, you know, keep our shooting percentage down. You know, I don't want our players gun shy. When you're open, shoot the ball. When someone gives you a great screen, shoot the ball. And then we got to do a better job at rebounding the basketball. We got to do a better job at boxing out, because they exposed us when it came to them just out hustling us and getting the 50-50 balls.
All right, and Chloe, lastly, big win on opening night. How do you want this hard-fought win to set the tone for this season?
I mean, I feel like this win should motivate us to get better. You know, I just feel like the game shouldn't have been that close, and I'm sure we all agree with that. So this just will motivate us, especially watching film at practice, but we'll be better and back.
Tough win, but good win. Congratulations, you guys.
Thank you.
All right, Taylor,
Back to you, Spiro.
This team, Taylor, has proven they can win when it's pretty, when it's grimy, and tonight it was the latter. Good first start for South Carolina tonight.
When you can win in an ugly manner, that means you have a chance to be really good. This team has a chance to be very good.
Well, the fun continues next. Ohio State and Texas. We'll have it for you coming up on TNT. South Carolina begins their season with a win.